Hello, my friends. This is the Moonbirds unofficial podcast. Welcome back, my burbs, to another week of content. And what a week this was. There was so much stuff. There were 4+ hours of content we had to get through this week. We had the Townhall at the Discord, and we had the weekly Parliament in Twitter. So, let's start with the Townhall. The team has done a lot of great reflection, and what they expected was that not all holders of Moonbirds would have nested, and that we would have just maybe a couple dozen or a couple hundred burbs reaching the gold nest level. Reality is almost all holders nested from day one, and they're just not on nesting unless they're really selling their burb. So that means we have a rolling bunch of burbs, about 8,000 of those who are eligible for rewards, and they're all hitting on the same day. This very quickly adds up. So Kevin said, "I rather spend $1 million and 5 engineers who will help us push product development years into the future than sending merch to that many holders." Now, they still want to have rewards. It's a very cool and fun thing. It's a way to reward people with, merch, but it's something that I think the team is thinking a lot more these days. And honestly, that was great to hear. I personally prefer that the team works a lot more on high rise and grails 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and think of other ways of, rewarding the holders and building this community. So yeah, that's my take on this. I rather they have meetings about product development than meetings about fanny pack selection. Now the date is 8:30, and that's for future proof. This is the meeting where the public will finally have a better peek into the roadmap. Now what that means is, I believe it's going to be the first time we see high rise, or at least version 0.5 or 0.1 of it. So I'm really excited for that. I can't wait for the end of August. Hopefully that date actually sticks. Now, that leads into a comment that also came up on the town hall about those fanny packs. Justin knew they were going to be controversial. I mean, it's like pineapple on pizza. You either love it or you hate it. Justin did love them, and they wanted to move forward, as this wasn't something that was very common. It's not like just slapping the logo on hoodies and giving everybody hoodies. They wanted to do something different. But after the community reception, I think they're a little bit more aware that if they're going to make controversial choices, it might be best to leave options to the recipients. A quote from the team was, "If something in the future might have a strong opinion, maybe we'll give options." So we'll see what that means for the gold nest level in a few weeks, and I don't know, into the future. When asked about access to the content ahead of the public, Caro mentioned, "This is something we want to ask the proof pass holders. They currently get the content a couple of days ahead of the rest of the world, and in the NFT world, that is a lot of time. And that's a lot of time for people to, make purchases or decisions that could impact financially or in a big way their bags. So they're going to talk to the proof holders. That's the 1,000 really exclusive membership club, and see what they come back with. I'm personally excited for this. I really think a lot of the content is going to help a lot more people to be just aware of BEP3 and understand who are the movers. Kind of cut through that noise. As mentioned last week when we discussed a little bit of the disappointing part of the Oddities reveal, was that this was paired to their Moonbird, right? So, and that included the rarity. Now, when they were asked this week if there was any benefit for holders to have their matching Oddities to their Moonbird, the answer was no. Which was a bit surprising. Maybe in the future, maybe later, but for now, the answer is no. So I think that might actually cause a few folks to just drop some of the oddities that they have, which should be great. It means, I know it's not what we all want, but it probably means the floor is going to go down. And that means it's going to be cheaper for other folks to get into this community, which at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? So there's going to be more merch at propaganda.xyz in the future. This is not going to be the same merge that you get through your nesting levels, but should be interesting, and maybe some community merch can also be placed there. So if you're thinking of doing something with your art, the one for the oddity or the Moonbird that you're holding, that might be a good way for you to get it out there. The team talked about Tyler Hobbs and how fun it was to have him in New York doing a live session in the IRL event, but one thing that they kind of hinted at is that he's too busy to be part of Grails too, so there's not going to be proof fidences for us. So you're going to have to wait on that one. But there's more town halls to be expected. The whole team, not just the ones that were on stage, the whole team is listening. And I think these conversations actually help steer the direction. And, this feedback is going to be relevant for them. Now, let's move on to weekly parliament. This weekly parliament, we talked about hiring this week. There's going to be additional hiring news on the data analyst side. So I'm excited for that. We'll see what comes out of that. I really can't wait for this proof team to get into the data in the space and kind of share more of that, curated and carefully thought of data with folks. So we'll see more about into that. Hopefully this content makes it into podcasts and other assets for the community. Grails 2 is coming. Proof holders, as always, still benefit from this, but also Moonbird holders with the Grails cup on top of their head. So there's a couple of you that have this. Lucky you. If you do, you're going to have a chance to get a mint pass. The rest of us humans will have to wait and buy it in secondary, as always. There's no news on who the artists are going to be for Grails, except, like I said, that Tyler House is probably not going to be one of those. The team is going to be sending on Discord a anonymous survey to just really listen in and dive deeper into feedback, into how the community has perceived this. So if you are interested in providing your feedback, keep an eye out for that. One more thing is the team is really excited for in real life IRL events and how they can support the community and sub-parliaments creating more of these. There's, for example, a LA Moonbirds meetup happening in Silver Lake this week that's being organized by @Brian Uner. And we also know that the team is going to be at Art Basel in Miami this December. They're going to be sharing details about that, so there's no conflicts with maybe some additional sub-parliament events. I know the Los Latin Birds is planning one already, and other communities probably are going to have others too. So they will be sharing this information soon because people gotta buy tickets. This is in Miami. So now the biggest chunk of time this week for Parliament was actually talking to the recipients of the 400 plus oddities giveaways. The amazing aka Stevie did all the work, the research, and the selection for these recipients, and we're honestly incredibly happy to see that list. So I'll go over them now, but you can look them up in your Twitters and find more about them. They're all great organizations. One of the first ones was Unicorn DAO. If you haven't heard of Pussy Riot and the work they've done and the time they spent in jail, what rock have you been living under? They've been spearheading Unicorn DAO, and one of the things that they really have been pushing for is just equality for women identified and LGBTQ folks, in addition to women reproductive rights. So if you haven't looked them up, look them up. They're going to be giving away oddities to those who really helped and showed up for the IRL activist initiatives. Second recipient is 50mm Collective. Now, 50mm is an NFT art collective dedicated to just providing resources and opportunities to historically underrepresented artists. They have a focus on BIPOC and LGBTQI artists, and they're going to be giving their oddities to community artists and builders. Third recipient is Black at XYZ. Now, this is one of the first all-Black Web3 communities for creatives, investors, and entrepreneurs. They're going to reward the people who've been really active in their community. They're going to raffle some and keep some in the treasury for the future. One of the really beautiful stories that came out of Parliament was one of the community managers who lives in Africa was given an oddities. And they were incredibly emotional and cried because, this is worth more than what they have been saving for and what their budget was for their wedding. So hopefully that makes for a beautiful wedding. Recipient 4, Human DAO. Now, Human DAO is improving the lives through crypto with education and opportunities in Web3. Specifically, they are really trying to provide wages to families and meals for those in needs. They have a keen interest in play to earn models, and they're going to be lending out, curiously, the oddities to their community members. So that way they can rotate them and people can actually have access to the proof community from Human DAO. I think that was a really cool use case. The fifth recipient is Deca Art. Now, Deca Art, if you haven't checked it out, you must. It's one of the best and note free NFT galleries out there. They allow you to basically take your NFTs from your wallets, or heck, even NFTs from other people's wallets if you really want to add them to your gallery, and kind of create your own freestyle gallery with them. I've seen some of the art there. Check my profile out if you're in there. But what they're really doing is bringing that infrastructure to folks who can't get some of the other fancier galleries and pay for them in passes to create those galleries for themselves. So they're going to be distributing those oddities in a raffle for anyone who's holding a level 13 Decagon or above. Now, it takes a little bit to get to level 13. I think I'm level 11 as of now. So if you haven't started on that, get on it. Recipient number 6 is My BFF. They are truly an incredible organization who's welcoming more women, non-binary, and other friends into Web3. They raffle the oddities for community holders already. There were some requirements for that, but we're excited for what they did. And then the last but not least is Endowment. This is my personal favorite because endowment.org, and that's spelled ENDAOMENT. They're a 501c3. They're the first on-chain 501c3 that's truly enabling crypto philanthropy at scale. Now, they're making crypto donations to nonprofits an absolute breeze, making it incredibly simple. If you are a 501c3 registered organization in the United States, you can just go to your page in Endowment, click a button, and you are good to go. They're going to be selling half of the oddities in the secondary market, and the proceeds are going to go into a community donor advice fund where the community will then vote to see which DEI organization should be awarded those grants. It's going to be a very interesting experience. The other half is going to be distributed to influential members of their community that have a very philanthropic mission in their Web3 involvement. So those are the recipients. I'm really excited for them. Can't wait for some other new organizations. If you have some that you feel should have been part of it, just let aka Stevie know. And that's it for us this week, folks. I'll talk to you next week.